Tēnā no kaitai ko huhui taina i tēnei pō, mihi ana tēnei ki a koe karare. Ko koe hoki te tai o aku tino, no rei mihi ana tēnei ki a koe o tira ki tō māma, ka kiti au i ngā hua ko puta mai i tō whānui, te whānau taiki mihi ana ki a koutou katoa. Kia mai hana jury, ko koe te tuatai i te including nau i tūwhera tēnei hui ki o kōro mātauranga nei mihi ana ki a koe. Kia ora everybody. Yes, I am one of the teachers here at Ōtaki Kura. I am from Ngāti Raukawa, so I am from here. This is my home grounds, my stomping grounds, as you may want to call it. I grew up here all of my life, and my children have been part of Ōtaki Primary School, and I basically followed them. So I came from a kohanga teaching background, and I followed them here to Ōtaki Primary School, and have loved it. Never wanted to leave. Still don't want to leave. So obviously, I've been here for a long time. I'm actually a Marino by birth, and so the Davis name is actually my married name, but not anymore. So I prefer to be a Marino. So mihi nui tēnei ki a koe karare. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass it on to Yvonne to introduce herself. Kia ora.
Mauri ora kia tātou. Tautoko au ngā mihi ko mihia, kia koe meihana jury. Rawe ki te rongo ki a koe kōrero ana ki o mea o kōrero rongonui kia mātou. Tautoko au ngā kōrero whājin, ko Yvonne Tahere tōku ingoa, ki mai a kārere no Airana hau. My name is Yvonne Tahere, and I'm from Belfast, Northern Ireland, and I have lived here all my life and grew up in Wellington City, moved to Ōtaki about nearly 40 years ago, and first started in, and I have a kohanga reo background, same as Jen. So we're going to talk about whanaungatanga in Ōtaki School. Thanks to Whaia Anahira, who hit us up in the playground one day, and ngā mihi kia koe Whaia Anahira. So in order to get to the whanaungatanga that's really awesome at the moment in Ōtaki School, we think we've actually nailed it, finally nailed it. But to finally nail it, we've actually got to go back sort of 32 odd years ago where there wasn't any. So I'm going to do the history side of our school and the gearing up to, the leading up to the whanaungatanga. Then Whājin's going to take over and talk about what's happening, what's just happened and what's going to happen in the future. So could we go to the second slide, please? Okay, so by the mid-80s, Ōtaki had two very big kohanga reo operating, and still are to this day. Both kohanga reo in those days had 40 plus tamariki in each of the centres. And this was at a time when the National Kohanga Trust had not yet been established. So in 1987, one of the first language enrichment classes in Ōtaki School was set up to cater for the kohanga reo graduates, complete with one of the first kai arahi i te reo. 2 years later, 1989, the first two bilingual classes were set up with two very strong kaiako to take the increased volumes of the kohanga reo graduates and other Māori children that were too challenging for other kaiako to deal with. And some of you that have been teaching for a while will probably get where I'm coming from about that. I was at kohanga reo at the time, and when these kids were all graduating, and so a group of us were asked, teachers at kohanga were asked if we could go to Teachers College and retrain into primary teaching. So that was me. In 1991, I graduated from Palmerston North Teachers College from the first bilingual intake. I won a position in a multi-level year 0 to 3 in bilingual class as a beginning teacher with 24 tamariki. Although most of the tamariki were related, there was no whanaungatanga in the class or in the school. Lots of lovely parents and tamariki, but no positive events to bring everyone together. The behaviours were out the gate. Brawls, insults, and some very punitive teaching styles regarding behaviours which created huge divides in the teacher-student relationships and with the parents of the more challenging tamariki. Can we go to the next slide, please? So in 1993, I had a huge job transition. So that's the luck of the Irish. I went from a beginning teacher to an AP in my 3rd year. And my bilingual unit colleague moved to become a principal at another school. So this was my opportunity to work with management and begin making changes. I must say, just before I head on, I went in as a mature student, so I was about 28 when I graduated. I had already had my children, so I think I had a bit of knowledge to move on. Obviously, the management team at the time thought so. So I learned really quickly the importance of having a Māori voice, or in my case, an Irish Māori voice on the management team. And coming in from a kohanga reo background, I could see the huge difference regarding whanaungatanga in the 2 institutions. Kohanga reo had lots of events and hui that meant whānau had to be and wanted to be involved, whereas the school was not being proactive with whānau engagement at the time. Can we go to I just want to acknowledge the people in that photo just before. That's our reunion, and those are some of the original kaiako at Rauhuia Kohanga Reo in Otaki. Okay, can go to the next slide. So in 1994, my challenge was to plan a whānau trip and take these tamariki on a haerenga and draw in the whānau to help us get there. And over the following 12 months, we had lots of fundraising activities that included hangi, discos, athons, compulsory banking, and whānau kai lunches. And all these events brought in the whānau. We had approximately 10 parents that came along to help. And we went to Tāngoi or marae in the Hawke's Bay, which was the marae of our kaiarahi te reo. We had a kapahaka exchange with Manawanui School for a day, and we enjoyed Marine Land and Splash Planet, and we stayed for 4 days, and that was the beginning of many national and international trips that I organised. The fundraising work that was involved in those trips brought so many parents into the fold, and the trips were so popular that some whānau chose to have them as their whānau holiday. And at that time, some tamariki had never even been out of Otaki. Can we go on to the next slide? Okay, these are some of the places, well, all of the places that we've been to. Most of them we've actually been to twice, so there's some international ones in there and some national. Right. In the years that followed, our bilingual classes grew to 3 and then 4, and we went to level 1 total immersion Māori and employed 2 more experienced kaiako. We also applied to the MOE to retain our year 7 and 8s in order to introduce formal English instruction in those 2 years, so tamariki would not slip through the net in English medium secondary schools. Local kaumātua were very involved in our school, as they were also enjoying coming on our trips, and it was awesome for the tamariki to see the roles that kaumātua played when on a noho. We even had them on our international trips. Oh yeah, so they gave us a new name, Te Korowai Whakamana, the cloak they interpreted to them as the cloak of excellence. And this was our why we got up to come and teach every day. Whanaungatanga in our pathway was at its best, so were the behaviours and the learning levels of the tamariki. Our ASTOR results were in the top range across the country for Māori medium education, and we had also established an entry criteria, kohanga reo graduates or tamariki from Māori speaking homes, plus compulsory whānau involvement. We had a place of belonging and everyone knew that. Coming close to the millennium years, we clearly had a very whānau orientated pathway, an English medium pathway who were still experienced behavioural challenges, no whānau engagement, teachers who needed to retire or move on, and teachers who were not pro-Māori, even though our kura had around 86% Māori across the school. Māori tamariki were not given the opportunity to be Māori. It was a great divide, and it was very obvious that there was a school within a school operating and it needed to change. If our tamariki were asked what school they attended, they would say Te Korowai Whakamana. Our new DP, who had come up from Tairangi School in Porirua, asked the Board of Trustees if he could start a bilingual level 3 immersion class for his year 5 and 6s and take some of the practices that Te Korowai Whakamana had in place and was working well. The class was named by our kaumātua as Kia Kaha. It was a hit for our English medium pathway parents because at the time parents were seeing the difference of the types of education the two different pathways of tamariki were getting. And they soon become 2 bilingual classes and were named Kia Manawanui, with the classes called Kia Kaha and Kia Maia. They began termly compulsory whānau hui like Te Korowai Whakamana, and they also began organising trips and local marae noho and creating the much needed whanaungatanga. Both pathways became so popular in our school community that we needed to put in place waiting registers to get in. Our leadership team at the time had successfully managed to sustain whanaungatanga across 2/3 of our school, but we were not defeated yet. Most of the remaining staff were definitely not on the waka of te reo, engagement of whānau or working outside of kura hours for events that enhanced the whanaungatanga and the love for working at a kura such as ours. As a leadership team, we also jumped on the PB Pharrell and restorative waka that massively impacted the behaviours right across the school. We actually missed out on the first year because we applied because the same few teachers were not ready to drop the punitive approach of dealing with behavioural challenges. Can we have the next slide, please? The penny started to drop and one new teacher began her te reo journey, and she fully embraced the language and the tikanga and started implementing this in her classroom practice. Unfortunately, she was butting heads for a little while longer and then the stars all aligned up. We had retirements and we had job advertisements to carry out, and we were making sure we employed the right people to have 100% whanaungatanga happening in our kura. Along with that, we have a new principal with new ideas, but what is also very important is that for him, teacher wellbeing is at the top of his list. So very happy to say that Otaki school has listened to the voice of our whole school community whānau via our triannual surveys, and as of 2022 Matariki time, we only have 2 pathways, one being bilingual with a new name of Naikite, and the other being total immersion, still with our very proud name of Te Korowai Whakamana. I love how we have survived the effects of COVID on our whānau, and I love how we have the most supportive whānau-orientated pro-te reo team of kaiako ever. It may have taken 32 years for the finale, but I can still say I love my job at Otaki School. I've taught my own tamariki here, and most of my mokopuna have also been educated in Te Korowai Whakamana, and those moko just keep on coming. Ko te kura, ko au, ngā mihi kia koe. So I'll hand it over to Whaichin.
Alrighty, thank you for that, Yvonne. That was awesome. Okay, can we go to the next slide, please? Okay. It felt we were 2 schools in one. We didn't plan together. No one knew what our English medium were doing, and we knew our whānau there were feeling left out. Everyone came together under the invitation of our principal, who believed transparency and inclusiveness was important. Some staff knew we had a school curriculum. New staff had no idea what was in it and how important it is to keep it alive, but it needed their thoughts and their input as well. And with the new creation of our curriculum, we've decided that everything that is binding in that curriculum comes under raukauatanga. So we are very much aware of where we sit in Otaki. We come under the umbrella of Raukaua, so we decided that raukauatanga was embedded in everything that we did. Everything had to come under raukauatanga. Next slide, please. Te Korowai Whakamana, cloak of excellence, as Yvonne said, tangible and visible in our office area. Classroom names form the parts of the korowai which woven together create a strong whānau, and we are very much a strong whānau. Ngāi kete depicting their art and expertise in creating many different kete. Ngai meaning a iwi or tribe, which brings the different kete together, is again another strong whānau. So we're very proud to have two very strong whānau now who follow the pathway of Te Reo Māori. Slide 11, please. We all have karakia mihi time, all of us. All our tamariki have the opportunity to learn who they are and to stand proud. Aha ko nohia, aha ko kōwai. Te koroi whakamana e ngai kete always have quality kapahaka time. Now we have 3 groups that encourage all our tamariki to experience this. Kia Māori te titiro, kia Māori te whakaaro. For ngai kete, these lessons are delivered in te reo 80% of the time, with tamariki immersed in a rich and spiritual environment of our mātua tupuna, and more importantly, under the Manaakitanga of passionate teaching staff. Te reo rangatira is our Māori speech competition with Te Korowai Whakamana, which we have every year, and it falls on the week of Te Wiko Te Reo Māori. Now, speech competitions are paramount in Te Korowai Whakamana senior students to showcase their knowledge and understanding of te reo across specialised kaupapa. Ngai kete encouraged their seniors this year with the same enthusiasm and mana-enhancing techniques. So although theirs might be in English, won't be long, it'll be bilingual. Without a doubt, it'll be bilingual. Next slide, please. How better to start the year off with a lot of laughs, live music and a little bit of work. Whanaungatanga at its best. Probably not as often as we would like, but it's the thought that counts. A nice relaxing drink at the end of a busy term with perhaps a little game of squash, keep those injuries at bay. How lucky are we to have kai mahi who are affiliated to the local marae that lifts a day of PD to another level, enabling all our staff to experience the Manaakitanga of our local iwi, the wairua, the energy that surrounds you. Kari te kumara e kōrero mō tōna reka, engari, hene nui o te ao katoa kai te mihi. Nā te kapu manawa whiti kai runga. So as you can see, we spend a lot of PD and team building and retreats as a staff, and that is all of Otaki staff, not just our kaiako, but it's our administration, our caretakers, our teacher aides. We all go away together and we spend 2 or 3 days just enjoying each other's company and having a lot of fun, and that's whanaungatanga and it's manaakitanga in our eyes. Okay, can we go to the next slide, please? Manaakitanga is important. Caring for each other as staff, tamariki caring for each other and caring for our manuhiri. We know when you arrive on a marae, manaakitanga automatically kicks in. We want that to be at our school environment as well, when we see tamariki helping each other out. Staff have birthday celebrations and support each other in duties, kitchen duties, morning tea and lunch duties. There's always a feeling you are supported when you at least expect it, and that sets a fantastic atmosphere of whānau. Mā pango mawhero, ka oti ai te mahi. Nei re koera au, e mihi ana ki te hunga whakarongo, ko māua, ko whai Yvonne tēnā e tuku mihi ana kia.